Good evening, everyone, all the attendees, the panelists. Welcome to the webinar of 1-year MBA in Global Supply Chain Management. I am Aditi, the current student of the batch of GSCM. Before we proceed, I see attendees are still joining in. So let's wait a couple of minutes for the attendees to join, and then we'll start the webinar. Hello, everyone. Let's start the webinar. So before I start, I would like to introduce the chair for today, Professor Rajesh Agrawal, who is the chairperson for 1-year MBA program at IIM Udaipur. Professor Chandrasekhar, who is the in charge Center of Supply Chain Management at IIM Udaipur, and Ms. Tannu Bhatt, representing the admissions team from IIM Udaipur. And I am Aditi, a student from the current batch of GSCM. I welcome the chair and all the aspiring candidates that we have today. And I hope that this webinar will provide us a platform where we ignite and address the insights and queries regarding the GSCM program. Before we start, it is requested that attendees to post their queries in the Q&A section will be addressed post the PPT. Now, I'd request Professor Rajesh Agrawal to please proceed with the presentation.
Thank you very much, Aditi, and a very warm welcome to all the aspirants of the MBA program in Supply Chain Management. And I thank you for joining us this evening, and we will be happy to first make a brief presentation about the program and answer any questions that you may have. You are very welcome to share your questions in the Q&A section, even while the presentation is in progress, and we shall answer each question that you have. Next slide, please, Aditi. Aditi, can you move the slide, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Right. So first thing we want to say is that the MBA program, which is the MBA program in Global Supply Chain Management, is a unique program in our belief and understanding. It's unique because of the two reasons that you can see on your screen. First thing is that this program comes from a leading academic institution, IIM Udaipur. The second thing, which is a very important aspect of this program, is this program is very heavily industry oriented in very many ways. As we proceed, I'm going to talk about how this program is very heavily industry oriented. And this is the question, which is a valid question that you should be asking as a prospective candidate, that why should I join a program in global supply chain management? Needless to say that the relevance of global supply chain management, all of you are very familiar. It was extremely important with India's growth, but also given the pandemic that we have experienced, we all have experienced the global supply chain issues, not only within the country, but globally. Next slide, please. It's important to know that this program is currently the 10th batch that we are running. And those of you who would be potentially joining this program will be 11th batch. What it means is we have considerable experience in offering and running this program. The first batch started as early as 2013. We have approximately 166 alumni who have graduated from this program over the years. Our initial batches were relatively small consciously because we wanted to make sure that the program is offered, designed, and delivered well. And relatively, the batch sizes were small. But from the last 2 years, we have increased the batch size. And as a result, approximately 50 students will be graduating in the current batch. Our graduates are occupying middle level to senior level positions in the industry, in various sectors, in variety of roles. So, and that's what this makes this program unique and of quality and of high relevance. Next slide, please. Now, whenever you consider joining an institution, it's very important to understand the credential of the institution that you propose to join. In this case, if you consider joining IIM Udaipur, you would like to know, while there are 20 IIMs and so many other management institutions, what does IIM Udaipur bring on table? I'm happy to say that IIM Udaipur has been ranked among the top 100 in the Financial Times Global Masters in Management ranking for the 4th consecutive year. Now, you would appreciate that Financial Times, which is published from London, UK, is a very established business daily. And for getting a consecutive ranking for 4 years means not only we deliver a high quality program, but we also deliver it consistently well across the year. We are also listed in the prestigious QS World University ranking for the 3rd consecutive year. And more importantly, there is an accreditation which is given by Association to Advance Collegiate School of Business out of US, which is a very prestigious ranking. We are the youngest institution in the whole world to receive this accreditation in 2018. For your information, only 5% business schools globally have this recognition of AACSB. Why I'm saying to you our credential in terms of rankings and accreditation is a testimony of the fact that we deliver a high quality program, which is appreciated not only by the students, but also by the industry. And I think it's important for you to know as a prospective candidate. Next slide, please. You may be familiar about the program structure, but I'll take a couple of minutes to talk about it. Once you graduate from this program, you're going to get an MBA degree. It's a 1-year full-time residential program, on-campus program. And to be able to apply in this program, you should have 36 months of full-time experience in industry. This experience can be together or can be in parts, doesn't matter, but you have to have full-time experience. Those of you who are not yet 3, but will complete 3 years of experience by end of February can also apply. You have to have a valid GRE or a GMAT or a CAT score, and you have to have 3 years of university education to be able to apply. One of the common questions that we receive every time during these webinars or otherwise is that, what is the minimum cutoff that we have for GRE, GMAT, or CAT? And I would like to answer this upfront, that we do not have a specific GMAT, GRE, or a CAT cutoff. When we evaluate applications, we evaluate the applications in their totality. We look at the profile of the candidate, other performances in the kind of roles they have performed, and the feedback from the interview committee, and we make an overall judgment. So I would like to say this. If you think that you want to do an MBA and global supply chain is something that excites you, then you should not overly worry about the scores you have. You should go ahead and apply, because after all, it takes few minutes to make an application, and not overly be concerned about the cutoff that you have, whether it will make a cut in our process or not. Next slide, please. So when we talk about the GSCM program structure, can you do one more click, please, Aditi? Yeah. So if you look at the structure of the program, when people join the program in the first few months, because you're going to get an MBA degree, it's important that you are exposed to the fundamentals of business management and cover courses across the management spectrum, such as accounting, finance, statistics, finance, marketing, communication, organizational behavior, the whole host of courses. And then in the second term, you basically do courses which are specific to supply chain management, right? And also you can appreciate that these days you have to be aware about digital, right? So if you can see in the second term, you have courses not only specific to supply chain domain, such as global supply chain management, logistics, and the like, but you also have courses in artificial intelligence and the future of work and IoT and things of that kind. Here you get to apply the fundamentals of management that you've learned in the first term in the specific supply chain context. And that's what is special about this program, which is not there in a general MBA program. In the third term, the last box that you see, you get to do a project, a real life project of a company, which you will do and solve their problems potentially by applying whatever you have learned in term 1 as well as term 2. And that's where you get to dirty your hands and apply all your knowledge of term 1 and term 2 in the live project. You also get to attend general elective courses which are offered to our 2-year MBA program alongside them. And that's what is the overall design of the supply chain program. Please be aware that this entire design of the supply chain program is heavily influenced by the feedback that we receive from our industry advisory board, about which Mr. Chandrasekhar is going to talk about very soon. Next slide, please. So I would like to now invite Mr. R. Chandrasekhar, who is the head of the Center for Global Supply Chain Management at IIM Udaipur, to talk about the design of this program and the role of the advisory board and things of that kind. So over to you, Mr. Chandrasekhar.
Thank you, Rajesh, and welcome to all of you to this webinar. The Center for Supply Chain Management was established in 2019 in IIM Udaipur. Though, as Rajesh said, our supply chain course is much older, the center itself is relatively recent. It's just about completing 3 years now. The mandate of the center was to act as a go-between industry and academics. You will recall that Professor Rajesh mentioned at the start of this presentation that this program in global supply chain management is highly industry-oriented. And in order to achieve this, we had to ensure that industry was invested in this program. And the job of, or the responsibility of getting industry participation into not only this program, but into some other activities of the institute also is vested with the Center for Supply Chain Management. Next slide, Aditi. Now, getting the involvement of industry into the program, we have a multi-pronged methodology we follow. One is we have formed an advisory board. This is the advisory board for the Center for Supply Chain Management. And if you look at the names that are listed here, they are all very eminent people from the supply chain domain. These people are actively involved in the working of the center and therefore in the form this program takes. We go back to them very frequently in order to get their inputs on how to keep this program contemporary. How do we ensure that this program at all times meets the needs and expectations of industry? Ultimately, IIM Udaipur is catering to the requirements of industry, and it is therefore necessary for us to at all times be aware of what does industry expect from us. So like I said, some of these names are very big names. The advisory board meets twice in a year when we discuss not only this program, but the general direction in which the supply chain center should be working, and what should be the goals and aspirations of the center in the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term. Next slide. Now, like I said, we have a multi-pronged approach. We get industry involved in various aspects of the program. One is, of course, like I said, through the advisory board, we get industry inputs. Another is we get them involved in the course itself by getting experts from industry to participate in the delivery of the program. It could be delivery as a part of the curriculum of a course, or it could be delivery in the form of general guest sessions where they would share their experiences of industry in general and supply chain in particular with the students. Rajesh had mentioned that as a part of the curriculum, we have our students are required to undergo a very, very elaborate supply chain project in partnership with industry. So there again, our students are given the luxury of interacting on live projects with industry members, and that itself is a part of the learning that we hope to impart through this program. Placement, of course, is a very important aspect of industry involvement with the program. And in all these interactions, we ensure that we take feedback from the stakeholders in order to ensure that our course is always up to or exceeding the expectations of industry. Next slide. Now, again, like Rajesh has said, our alumni are working across various sectors of industry in medium or in middle and senior management. Some of these companies and domains in which they're working, of course, in consulting, could be strategic consulting, could be technology consulting. They're working in e-commerce companies, specific supply chain consulting companies, analytics, product management, logistics companies. The number of roles or the variety of roles is only increasing every year, right? And as our course becomes more popular with industry, we find that the types of roles which the industry is in a position to offer to our students is very, very gratifying. Yeah, next. So again, typical roles: strategic management, operations, product management, supply chain management. So wherever you can decide, you have time to decide which is the area in which one of the our criteria for admission to the course does not require background in supply chain. So you will, as the course goes on, you will be able to identify this is the area which I would like to focus on, and you will be given that luxury of deciding that and focusing on that area and hoping for a placement in that area of interest. Next. Now, we want the students to not only become leaders in the supply chain domain, but we want them to come out of the course as well-rounded individuals. And we therefore believe that this journey should be transformational in its nature. And whether it is and in what form that transformation takes place, we thought there is nobody better than a student from the current batch to take you through it. So Aditi, over to you, and you can tell us about your experience of this program.
Thank you, sir. So hello everyone, I am Aditi, and I've worked as a technical manager in Reliance Industry, where I was overseeing the day-to-day activities on the technical side of the product and production management. When the pandemic hit, I was expected to step up and play a more strategic role. And that's when I realized the real importance of supply chain for the smooth running of a business. I wanted a holistic understanding of the business management as a whole. And I knew that there's no substitute for the classroom learning. And after that, GSCM at IIM Udaipur was the best thing that happened to me. And there are several reasons why I chose GSCM as my first choice for pursuing an MBA. What tops is the world-class faculty. So I've been here, we are taught by industry experts and advisors themselves, apart from the regular faculty. We have guest sessions wherein we invite the current industry leaders so that our curriculum is in alignment with what the requirement of today's world is. whether it be the AI transformations happening, digital transformations, IoT implementations, all that. And this itself is the biggest reassurance to aspirants seeking the best learning in the sprint at IIM Udaipur. So even if the best part is that even if you're not taught by a particular faculty, all professors are very extremely welcoming for the talks, guidance, and projects. And now I'm 6 months into the GSCM program, and I keep connecting back my learnings that I had at my experiments that I did at my job. And I seem to now have structured answers as to how I would have better been able to tackle the situations there. And the credit goes to the crisp curriculum design of the GSCM. So we have subjects like economics, statistics, finance, which give you a structured thinking, along with the core global supply chain courses. And they are delivered in a very engaging manner, in a very energetic delivery. So example, we have Professor Rajesh Agrawal's enthusiastic pedagogy because he's a finance professor. And initially I was afraid to touch the subject of finance, but the pedagogy is such that it makes you interested in the stream. And this program will eventually elevate your personality and professionalism to a very whole new level. So you have simulation-based classes, you have industry sessions, you have 600 hours of live projects. So you get to strengthen your domain expertise, being in contact with the industry. So that's how the peer learning happens. That's how you add value to the program and the program adds value to you. So it's a transformational journey in that sense. I would now like to hand it over to Professor Rajesh Agrawal.
So next slide, please. Maybe
next slide.
Yeah, if you could talk about. You are on mute.
Before I go to the slide, I just want to add a few things to what Aditi already mentioned. Many important elements of the program are managed by the students themselves. You know, like she was saying, we invite leaders from industry to come and talk to the batch. These invitations, who to invite, for these sessions are by and large decided by the students. Projects, the students work on industries and get projects from them. They decide which team undertakes which project. Placement is almost entirely driven by the student committee. There are multiple clubs of which you can be members. We have a lot of initiatives through our learning and development team outside the regular curriculum. So all these things add to the transformational journey that we hope that you'll be able to undertake when you go through this program. As far as placements, last year was an extremely good year in that we were able to place the entire batch of about close to 40 people, I think by January, if I'm not wrong, right? And like I said, the types of roles went up multifold. The types of organizations that came from different sectors of industry, that went up, right? And we hope that this year also we will be having the same trend in terms of our placements. So we have Blue Yonder was a supply chain consulting company. Reliance, the group recruited people for a variety of roles. House-centric is another supply chain consulting. Cognizant recruits from us. Accenture, Manhattan Associates, who develop supply chain applications, they recruit from us. So there's a variety of companies, variety of roles that you can aspire to after you go through this program. Next slide. Live projects were carried out, again, a variety of projects across various elements of the supply chain. There could be logistics related projects, there could be procurement related projects, there could be projects on developing supply chain applications, there could be projects on network design. There are various projects which are made available. A huge bouquet of projects are made available from, again, different sectors of industry. From the automobile industry, we had very interesting projects from Mahindra & Mahindra. Reverse logistics is a very new terminology. There was very interesting projects of reverse logistics. So these are, again, these companies will be participating in, have participated in the current year projects too. And we expect that the variety in projects will be maintained as we go along and it will improve further. Next slide. Now, why this particular program? I will again hand it over to Prof. Rajesh, who will take you through what is the reason for opting for a program in global supply chain management.
Thank you, Chandra. So this is our last slide, participants. So what we want to talk about here is this. that as you are making your career choices, it's extremely important when you think of your career choice, and if you believe MBA is something that excites you, and within MBA, if you think that global supply chain management is a sunrise industry in the years to come, then we believe that this program, one-year MBA program from IIM Udaipur, offers you a unique value proposition. Why do we call it a unique program? Because of a variety of reasons, where we not only teach the core academic curriculum, we bring in the industry experts to deliver. The program is designed by the industry. And then you get an MBA degree, of course, and then we deliver this program from an institution which is now, very young institution, but highly acclaimed and accredited in the field of management. One more slide, please, Aditi. Yes. So I would like to say this in the final word, that if you think MBA excites you, global supply chain excites you, then, and if you have a valid score of any of these exams, GMAT, GRE, or CAT, go ahead and apply. If you have any questions that remains to be answered after this webinar, you are very welcome to write to us. You can take a screenshot of this or speak to Ms. Tannu or her team members at the mobile number given here during office hours, and we will be happy to revert back to you, right? So now I would request Aditi to take us through the Q&A section of this webinar. And I would request once again to key in your questions in the Q&A section, and we will answer all the questions that are shared. So over to you, Aditi.
Thank you, Professor. So firstly, I would like to request all of you to take a screenshot of the screen so that any query you have during or regarding the process, we'll be happy to answer it. Secondly, I'll request everyone to write their questions in the Q&A section rather than the chat box. So we'll start. So first question we have from Akshit. He's asking, can we get a deferred admission? I'll give CAT this November, but have only 1 year of experience.
So let me answer this. Akshit, thank you very much for your interest in this program. We do not currently have any system of deferred admission. We do that only in exceptional circumstance. So because you have only 1 year of work experience, you shall have to wait for at least 2 more years to be able to apply in this program.
Next question we have from Kshitij. He's asking, how is the program organized with the Granite School of Management? Please provide details regarding that.
So Kshitij, in the initial several years of this program, we had a partnership with Purdue University, where one particular term of the program was offered by Purdue University, and rest of the program was delivered here at IIM Udaipur. During the pandemic, a lot of changes happened, and we found it difficult to align our program calendar with their calendar. And subsequently, we have now separated, and the entire program is offered by IIM Udaipur now. So we do not have any partnership going with the Purdue University anymore.
Next, we have a question. So there's an ask for the average GMAT score or the GMAT score range of the current batch.
So as I had mentioned during my presentation that, we are not so kind of focused on the GMAT or GRE or CAT score. As I said to you a while ago, if you have a valid score and if you think MBA and supply chain excites you, go ahead and apply, rather than worrying too much about your cutoffs and the score that you have.
Next, we have Vaibhav, who's asking that does entrepreneurship counts as an experience?
Maybe Tannu.
Yes. So Vaibhav, regarding the entrepreneurship, yes, it is countable as experience, but there is a certain set of documents which are required to validate your entrepreneurship. So I suggest that you write to MBA admission, and we will update you with the list of documents which is required for the entrepreneurship.
Next, we have a question. So is there any requirement for operation role, as I have experience in retail banking operations?
I'll take that. Yes, we operations roles are available to us, but these operations relate to supply chain management. So we have logistics companies who come and recruit from us. We have manufacturing companies. We have e-commerce companies where operations roles are offered. But if you're trying to link it to retail banking operations, then no, it may not be. But operations role per se, yes, are made available to our students.
If I may
supply chain operations is what we're talking.
If I may just add on, the candidate has the retail banking experience, I understand, right?
Yeah.
And so retail banking experience, as far as your ability to apply in the program is concerned, absolutely welcome. There's no problem. After graduating from the program, whether you will get retail banking again, that we can't say.
Yes.
But you will certainly get supply chain roles in other sectors, other parts of the economy. But we can't guarantee or mention what kind of role you're likely to get after you graduate from here.
Next, we have a question. Does past academic record has any weightage in the selection criteria for a candidate?
As we mentioned that we look at the application in totality. So you are required to submit your academic records along with the application.
So next we have a question that how to apply with unofficial GRE score for cycle 3 deadline.
Yeah, sure, I'll answer it. So regarding the unofficial GRE score, it depends, because in unofficial GRE score, mostly all parameters are not mentioned, all score. So I suggest that you please share your mark sheet, how it's showing, then only I can guide you to apply for the score.
He should email you, right, Tannu?
Yes, mail to MBA GSCM admission. We will see the mark sheet and then we can update you accordingly.
Okay. Next, Vipin has asked a question about international immersion during the program, which I think we just answered.
No, we'll answer that. Vipin, so the logic of the international immersion is this, that particularly in programs where participants did not have a chance of getting any experience of real life organization, then international immersion is of great value. Otherwise, when we find that here, certainly the minimum experience required to be able to apply in this program is 3 years. So we realize that international immersion doesn't add a lot of value in the program. We would rather have that time spent on the other modules of the program. So we do not have any international immersion component in this program.
Then we have Weber. He's asking whether does it make a difference in selection if he applies in the 3rd, 4th, or the 5th phase of application?
So Weber, again, it's a question of guessing. The best thing is if you already have a valid score, you should go ahead and apply. If you don't have a valid score, you can only apply once you get it. We also don't know how it affects because it's a dynamic process of application, right? So I would say whenever you have the scores available, please go ahead and apply.
And Vaibhav also asks if there is any GMAT cutoff. If yes, then what was it last year?
I just mentioned a while ago, we do not have a specific cutoff in mind.
Right. And so Kshitij has another question. He says that he has given GMAT, GRE and CAT. Is it advisable to provide all the scores?
So my understanding is that you can enter only one score. Is that correct, Tannu?
No, sir. There is a provision that he can mention all the scores, GMAT, GRE, CAT.
Okay, so then it's wonderful if you enter all of them because, you improve your chances that way.
Now we have Vishal. So he's again asking about any student exchange programs that are provided in the groups.
No, Vishal, because the short duration of the program, we don't have any opportunity of any student exchange. So Vishal, you would appreciate that, 1 year is a power-packed program and we have too much to achieve. Management courses, supply chain courses, general management perspective courses such as leadership and strategy, and then you have projects. So we don't have any scope for international immersion or student exchange or things of that kind.
We have Deepak. He's saying that he works in a SEM domain in an IT industry, which deals in robotics, automation, and IoT. So he's confused whether he should go for DEM or GSCM.
Okay, I'll take that. Deepak, it all depends on what is your area of interest. If you are interested in the technology part of all this, then DEM would make more sense. Whereas if your interest lies towards application of these technologies in the supply chain domain, then yes, GSCM is a course for you. So ultimately, it all depends on where your interest lies. But like you have said, both programs are available to you. So depending on your clarity of where your interest lies, you can choose either one. But supply chain will be more application of the technology rather than the technology itself.
And incidentally, if I may join in, Deepak, you are also welcome to apply in both the programs.
Yes.
You can apply in both and take a call later, which one. If you're offered an admission in one, that's one. If you're offered admission in both, you can still choose later.
Next, Maheshwar is asking that are there any scholarships offered?
Maheshwar, unfortunately, we do not have any provision for a scholarship at this stage.
Vaibhav has another question. He says that he has experience in multiple domains like sales, data analytics, consultancy, development, and entrepreneurship. So will it be advantageous or disadvantageous to join the course?
Well, let me take that. And so you have experience in several domains, so I cannot see how that can be a disadvantage. The fact that you are exposed to a variety of roles and, so I don't see how it can be a disadvantage to my mind. You want to add anything, Chandrasekhar?
No, again, I'm just wondering from what perspective you are talking about. Would it be an advantage or a disadvantage from an admissions perspective? Then it's very difficult to say at this point in time. Again, we'll have to go through the entire process. If you're talking about whether it will be an advantage in the course itself, possibly I would take it as an advantage since you have exposure to a variety of areas. Maybe you will be able to add value to the other participants also. So it all depends on what is the reference with which you're asking this question.
Next, we have a question. What is the average age of the current batch? Is there any higher age limit?
So we do not have any age limit, so to say, for joining in the program. My sense is the average age of the current batch is approximately, 27 or something like that?
27, 28 years.
27 years is the average age of the batch.
Next, we have a question. Does having a master's degree give an advantage as well?
See, we can't say whether, a master's degree gives you an additional advantage. It all depends on different recruiters. Certainly you get an MBA degree, right? And industry wants people who are going to work in the field of business management to have an MBA degree. So in that sense, certainly it helps. But beyond that, I don't know what you meant by having an advantage from a master's degree. And again, different companies, have their own perceptions of what is an advantage and what is not an advantage. So it's a generic question. I can't answer better than this.
Hussein is asking that how do candidates with experience in B2B sales and marketing, having worked for 4 years in MNC, switch to a role related to the supply chain?
Hussein, I'll answer that. Hussein, almost all the people who undergo the course switch their role. The roles they were in before they joined the course and the roles after are different in most of the cases, right? It all depends on what you are able to gather through the program, what you will be able to identify as your area of interest, and how you're able to convince a potential recruiter that you will be the good candidate, the ideal candidate for this particular role. But in terms of switching a role, like I said, almost all candidates switch their role. What they were before and what they were after the program will be substantially different.
Next question is again, is there age limit for this course? I have 8 years of work experience in retail and apparel industry. I would like to give GMAT in January 2023, if eligible for this course.
So let me answer this. So first of all, there is no real age limit, so to say, or experience limit for that matter. What we have found from experience that people who have more than 10 years of experience, we find it hard to get them suitable roles from the industry, and those jobs are not really available at campus. But anybody who has experience in the range of 5 to 9 years, we found it absolutely fine and not difficult to place them. but people with over 10 years of experience, there is a challenge. Likewise, in terms of age, we do not have any cutoff for the age. And with respect to your writing your exam, so there are several cycles available. You can check on the website, and when you write your exam, and if your score is available within the timelines of our, fourth cycle or fifth cycle, you are very welcome to apply.
Next question is that how is this program helping in individual career switching?
Vaibhav, like we've been saying, this program is built on the premise that you have an interest for supply chain. Now, suppose you have an interest, then this program will expose you to various aspects of supply chain. And depending on what you are able to assimilate from the program, that will ultimately decide the career switch, right? So it all depends on what the individual wants and what is the takeaway the individual gets from the program. The program will give you exposure to a variety of areas. And like I said, most of the candidates end up in switching their careers. So it's all depends on the individual, what he's able to assimilate from the program and how he's able to take that forward in his career.
Kameshwar will be giving GRE on 17th of this month. So he wants an update on the deadline for 2023 ending.
So yeah, Kameshwar, regarding the deadline, we are taking application in different cycles. Right now, the cycle 3 is going on, which will be end on 21st November. So if you are giving GRE on 17 and if you'll have a valid score till the deadline, you can apply in this cycle. Rest you can apply in the next cycle.
Yeah, so as soon as you have a valid score, you can apply in the cycle that is running at that point in time. But I think the 5th cycle will go all the way to January end.
February 2nd, yeah.
February 2nd. So you can apply all the way up to February 2nd.
Next, we have a question on what is the current batch size?
So this year, we expect the batch size to be around 55 to 60.
The current year is about 48.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shivraj is asking, are there any roles offered in FMCG? If yes, what are the type of roles?
FMCGs have traditionally not been major recruiters from IIMU. But the roles, if at all they come for placement, the roles will be typical supply chain roles for any FMCG. CG could be in any part of supply chain, could be logistics related, could be procurement related, could be planning related, across the supply chain. Those will be the typical roles that FMCG should be offering. But like I said, they have not been very regular recruiters from IIM.
Sandhani is an electrical engineer under Government of Orissa and has 6 years of work experience. She wants to know whether higher work experience affects the placement chances. So I will,
6 years is okay. You're still at that manageable number of years where you should not greatly impact your chances of placement. But as it goes, we have found that up to 8 years, we're reasonably good at placing our candidates in roles that they aspire to, right? But beyond that, it does become a challenge. Beyond 8 years, we find that companies are not too keen on taking people with that much of experience. They feel that, they come with certain baggage which may be difficult to handle. So up to 8 years, 6 years is definitely, there should not be any major issues in terms of placement.
Prof is asking that he's planning to get GMAT in January, and till that time, 4th round will be over. So can he apply without an official score and submit the score later?
As mentioned before, if you have you have an unofficial scorecard, which all the score mentioned on the report, you can apply with the unofficial GMAT score. Mostly on the GMAT scorecard, all the scores are mentioned. So you can apply with the unofficial scorecard. Once you have an official score, you can mail the same to an admission office.
Parth comes from a background in finance in both academic as well as work experience. So he wants to know what are his chances to getting selected into the program.
So Partha, it is very hard to say anything in the webinar that what are your chances, right? Because we don't know anything about your background, your score, your profile. And that's the reason there is an admission process that you apply and then you will know. It's very difficult to answer that, what are your chances, high or low. We can't answer this based on what, information. And on webinar, we don't say, we can't answer it's high or low, right? So you have to apply only to know.
Next question we have about switching the role.
I think the next two questions have been, I think, already been answered.
Yes,
this and
right.
the next question.
Yes, right. So there's a question from Deepak. He asks how degree in MBA and MBA in GSCM is different. And will this degree be recognized if we go abroad to work?
Okay, let me answer that.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between MBA and MBA in GSCM? Very simple. When you say MBA, it's a general MBA. When you say MBA in GSCM, it is specific to a particular domain, right? To a global supply chain management. When you say, will this degree be recognized if you want to go and work abroad? Again, it's on the recruiter, right? So we have some of our graduates in global supply chain management who are working abroad currently as we speak. Now it will depend from company to company. Even within the country, different people have different perceptions about which is a good program, which is not a good program. So it is completely the perception of the particular company who is going to recruit, right? But we have found that our 2-year MBA program graduates, as well as our 1-year MBA program in global supply chain management graduates, are working domestically as well as internationally.
Kameshwar is a structural engineer having an experience of 3 years in the core domain, where he was involved in project management and construction management. He wants to know how will this course be helpful to him.
Kameshwar, supply chain is a part of both project management and construction management. So since you already have that background, this course will only strengthen your knowledge of supply chain. So I think it will be very helpful, this course, in giving you greater expertise in the area of supply chain. How you use that and take your career forward is entirely up to you. But yes, you have relevant experience and that will get strengthened by the program.
Vishal is working in cement logistics, so he wants to know if we want to get into the same kind of domain after the course, will the college help him in that?
The college will not provide any special assistance so that you get placed in the cement logistics business. The college facilitates placement. Where you get placed depends on a lot of things, like what sort of companies come, what sort of companies you're interested in, how you undergo the placement process, and where you end up eventually are entirely not in the control of the institute. So I cannot say that we will help you in getting placed in the same business.
Then we have a question wherein a candidate is confused between a 1-year residential general managed MBA program that other IIMs are offering as compared to the MBA in GA.
Okay, let me answer that. So, there are two kinds of program, right? 1-year general MBA and 1-year MBA in global supply chain management. Now, there is nothing like a good program or a bad program. It is all about your own interest and your career aspirations. If global supply chain management excites you, and if you think there is a future in global supply chain management, then certainly this is a program for you. If you think global supply chain management does not interest you, and you want to be a general marketing person, finance person, or a generalist, then this is not the program for you. So it is completely up to you to figure out what interests you, and accordingly you should choose the program.
We have a query that how difficult is the curriculum for a non-business and tech background professional such as merchant navy?
I'll take that. I will not sugarcoat this by saying that no, it will not be difficult at all. It will be challenging because business today requires everybody to be comfortable with technology, right? But having said that, there are individuals in every batch, including this batch, who do not have a technical background. I suppose Aditi will be better placed to answer how are they managing these courses. Aditi, would you like to add on here? But it will be challenging. I'm not going to say no, there will be make no difference to you. It will.
So it will be challenging, but at the same time, I think the peer learning that happens here is transformational in itself. So the work that you do is generally, it's peer driven. So you do projects and you do cases in groups, which kind of helps you in motivating yourself to build up to the level where your peers are. And also, as I've already mentioned, so faculties that we have here are extremely helpful. And we do have people from Merchant Navy this year. So we have 2 candidates who have come from Merchant Navy, and they have been performing very well. And I would also request you to be in touch with those candidates and the alums who have come from Merchant Navy, so that you get in alignment as to how they coped up with the curriculum, so as they can guide you. Next question we have from Path. He's asking what will be the batch size this year, as I guess offers are already made to the people who applied for earlier rounds. It will be great if we can know how many candidates have already accepted the offer.
Let me answer that. Parth, we mentioned that the current expected batch size is 55 to 60 approximately. We do not have a specific number in mind. The reason why we have 5 rounds of admission, obviously, is that there are admissions happening in each round. The fact that certainly we are currently in what a particular round, admissions will happen through this round. But that does not mean admissions will not happen in the subsequent round. So as I said, rather than to getting into too much of this equation about, how many seats filled, not filled, what are my chances, the best bet is, as I said, if supply chain excites you, if MBA excites you and you have a score, go ahead and apply. If you don't have a valid score, write the exam and then apply, right? So we can't talk about how many seats and those kinds of stuff in the webinar.
Next question we have, that can we reapply if we are not shortlisted?
So you can reapply only if you have a different, for example, you apply with a particular score and you're not shortlisted, and you reappear in the exam, and if a different score, you improve your score, then yes, then you can reapply with a different or a new or a revised score.
Vipin is working in an MNC as a sourcing manager for 9.5 years, and he is asking if the course will be beneficial to him or not.
So Vipin, when we said that, there are 2 things. One is the usefulness of the course. The other is the placement opportunity. Even if somebody has 20 years of experience, the course will certainly be very useful from the learning point of view. But majority of the students who come here are coming for 2 purposes, learning as well as a placement. With approximately 10 years of experience, the placement becomes difficult. Learning certainly will be there. So in fact, some of the students come to us and they say that, look, we are not really looking for a placement. I will take a sabbatical from my company or a break from my company and I'll go back to my company. So very welcome to apply in what we call the sabbatical category, where we are not going to offer you a placement opportunity, but you can go back to your company. But if you apply in the regular route, then with 10 years of experience or more, placement becomes a challenge. That's what we mean by the 2 different things.
Dhiresh is a marine engineer in Merchant Navy, and he's been working from last 10 years, but due to contractual nature of the job, his cumulative work experience is around 6 years. So will this have any difficulty in terms of placements or admission in this course?
Admissions, I don't see what the challenge will be. If you're otherwise suitable, like we have been saying repeatedly, we look at the overall profile of the candidate before deciding on whether to admit a candidate or not, right? But placements are a different matter. Like I said, even with the, I've been working for last 10 years, but 6 years experience should not be a big issue for placements. But it all depends on how you are. If you are going to consider yourself to be 10 years and look for a similar position, that may become a challenge, right? So there may be some adjustments which you need to make. But if you're looking at placeability of a candidate with about 6 years experience, it's normally not a challenge for the institute, no, for the program.
We have an attendee working in supply chain domain as demand planning analyst since last 3 years. He's asking if this working profile of his will help him strengthen the profile to secure an admission in the program.
Yeah, your profile, like we have said, our criteria for admissions does not require expertise in supply chain. So we do not give any special weightage for a person coming with supply chain background. That will be, disservice to the people who do not have supply chain background. But whether it will help you gain more out of the program, yes, since you've already worked in that domain, it will possibly add that much more to your profile after the program. But in terms of admissions, it may not, I cannot guarantee that it will have a positive impact on your chances of admission.
An attendee has a current package of 14 LPA. So he's asking how useful this program is in terms of ROI.
Let me answer that. So your current package is 14 lakhs per annum. I think our previous year average compensation was approximately 19 lakhs. But so ultimately you have to take a decision, because nobody can predict what kind of compensation you are going to get if you join this program. The fact that it is average compensation is approximately 19 lakhs. So in the previous year, that too, what would one individual will get, that's nobody knows. So you have to take a call whether it fits into your scheme of things.
Next, Vaibhav is asking that is DEM sort of similar to digital marketing, or it's an aspect of it?
DEM program is MBA in digital enterprise management, which is much bigger than digital marketing. Digital marketing is a very, very small subset of the entire digital enterprise management, which includes digital transformation, becoming a technology manager, and going forward. So it's much bigger. But if digital also interests you, we have a webinar tomorrow. You could register for that and understand more about the digital program.
So Deepak says he's gone through the syllabus of both DEM and GSCM program and found most of the contents same. What is the level of IoT being covered under GSCM? Will the learning at GSCM enable to take general management roles as well?
Okay.
Let me.
Now, if you look at.
Go ahead. Yes.
Rajesh, should I take it?
Yeah, go ahead. Please go ahead. Yeah.
If you look at the curriculum for DEM and GSCM, term 1 is substantially the same, is the same, because term 1 we talk about general management subjects, and that will be common for both the programs. Term 2 and term 3 will be sector specific. Supply chain, we will talk about core supply chain subjects. There will be common subject titles like IoT will be there in DEM and GSCM, but the focus of these two programs will be different. IoT in DEM will concentrate on technology. IoT in GSCM will talk about application of technology. So that's the fine difference which we are able to bring out, though the course is essentially IoT in both, right? Will the learnings at GSCM enable, if you want a general management role, then why don't you do a one-year program in general management, right? The idea of coming to a supply chain program is that you're interested in pursuing a career in supply chain. If you want to have a role in general management, then there are other one-year executive programs in general management. My advice is to look at those options.
Shashwat is asking what is the total number of seats available for the GSCM program?
As I mentioned before, we are expecting a batch size of 55 to 60 this year.
Akshay asks if this course is very hectic as we are covering so much in 1 year.
The short answer is yes. Aditi, what will you say?
It is challenging, it is hectic, and that makes it even more, I think, fruitful, because ultimately this is the best ROI we can get, because we are learning so much in 1 year of our time at this age, which is a beautiful thing. And now we have Sarkar asking that he's a senior engineering executive in Hindustan Unilever Limited, having 5 years of experience. How much beneficial will be the program for him and chances of accelerating his career?
Rajesh, you want to take that?
Yeah. So, first thing is, as I said, we are not so much, hooked on to getting students in the program who have supply chain experience, right? If you have, that's good. If you don't have, doesn't matter. We welcome all students who have at least 3 years of work experience to apply in the program. That's one. As far as whether the program would be beneficial to you in terms of learning and career, learning, sure, because you are getting an MBA degree and also you are learning supply chain. As far as career is concerned, as Mr. Chandrasekhar mentioned a while ago, the whole idea of doing an MBA program is that people use this as an opportunity to switch their careers from the current role to something else. So the whole idea is that people would be changing their careers and roles. So if you are coming from an engineering background, the idea is not to get an engineering role, but a managerial role. And that's the whole intent of the program. So in that sense, certainly we think it should be helpful.
Next, we have Dr. Aditi. She's a dentist with 6 years of clinical experience in dentistry and general management. She's asking if she's eligible for supply chain management and what kind of companies visit from the healthcare industry.
Oh, from an eligibility perspective, yes, you will be eligible. Like we have said, it does not require any specific background. You require a minimum of 3 years. You require 3 years of graduation you should have completed that. So purely from an eligibility perspective, if you have these plus a valid GMAT, GRE or a CAT score, you are eligible to apply for the program, right? But then what you want to do with the program after the program is entirely up to you. Healthcare companies, yes, we do get a few healthcare companies. I think there are a couple this year which is which should be happening, but that does not guarantee that they will be coming year on year. So I really cannot say with any certainty that yes, we will definitely have people recruiting from the healthcare industry.
In fact, if I may say that if healthcare companies don't show up and we don't know how other companies would look at your dentistry background or being a dentist background. So that's something you have to keep in mind in terms of placement could be a potential challenge.
Akshay asks if he can get time for part-time online job along with the course.
Akshay, the only way that will happen is if you're able to extend your 24-hour day to 30 hours. Otherwise, the program will keep you so busy that you won't even have time to think about a part-time job.
Shaswat says he's a BTech graduate having 3 years of experience as marketing analyst. Recently, 4 months ago, he joined Futures First as derivatives trader. Will this diversified work prove to be disadvantageous? And his 12th and 10th scores is above 85%, and he mentioned his scores.
So, Shashwat, let me answer that question for you. So, you have 3 years of experience as a marketing analyst. You also have worked for a few months as, derivatives trader. So, certainly from your admission point of view, I don't see any challenge whatsoever. I think, you fulfill the requirement. You're very eligible to apply. As far as you've given all the details of your score and all that, you're overthinking, as I said, and I don't see potentially any kind of broadly any challenge with respect to placement either. Simply because you work for 4 months as derivatives trader, I don't think that will go against you in terms of your placement. And I would say the same thing again. If supply chain excites you, if MBA excites you, go ahead and apply. And don't overly worry about these equations, because we can't answer you here whether you are in or out. So you can only apply and then see what happens.
Dr. Aditi is asking what is the difference between supply chain management versus general management, and she wants to know that in long term to become CEO or CXO of a company, how supply chain will be.
Would you answer that, Chandra?
Yeah, like I think there was an earlier question about this. General management is in various areas of the company's functioning. Supply chain management is very specific. It's a more specific program, and you will be involved in supply chain activities of the organization you join. Now, but considering the importance that supply chain professionals are being given now, especially after the 2 years of the pandemic, when we realized managing our supply chain could be the difference between you flourishing as an organization and losing out. I think experience in supply chain will only enhance the chances of rising in an organization. So I don't think it will be a detrimental at all. In fact, I think it will be advantageous.
And Dr. Aditi also asks that what are the rules for doctors in supply chain industry?
It's like for any other professional. Not the industry in which you work may change, right? Like you were saying sometime earlier that you were interested in going to the healthcare industry. So the organization you work for might change, but essentially the type of roles will be as they are for any other type of a person with any other type of background.
Ashwin wants to know that is it good to join or apply in 2023 or 2024? If he joins in 2024, his experience would be 5.8 years of mechanical design.
Ashwin, of course, that's a decision that you have to make. But if I were in your place and if I think that I want to do an MBA and I already have the eligibility of 3 years, I don't see any reason why waiting for 1 more year is going to help you, right? You're only postponing your decision. So as I said, it's a personal call that you make, but if I were in your place, I would apply early rather than late.
So we have a last question from Dr. Aditi. She asks if there are any other doctors in the previous batch in supply GSCM.
We cannot.
I can't recall.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's one more question. Does the projects are performed on-site campus or outside?
It will be on campus. The projects are, you will continue to be on campus because the course goes on concurrently, right? So it's not a typical internship where you'll go to the company and spend time with them. You will be on campus.
And if I may say, for every project, there is an internal faculty member who is your guide, and also the industry contact manager is also your guide. So it is kind of supervised both from industry as well as a faculty member.
So Shaswat says that he had an internet issue, therefore he's asking one question again, that will his GMAT score of 760 compensate for the less BTech percentage that he has?
So Shashwat, what I had mentioned was, do not overly worry about these equations. If you are interested about MBA and global supply chain management, go ahead and apply. That's all I would say.
Right. So we also have a question from Saumi, who asks that he's done his MBA in marketing and operations already and has experience in FMCG companies. So how much importance does GMAT score have during the admission process?
It's a combination of things that we look at and take an overall decision, right? So we cannot mention to you what component of weightage does GMAT score carry in the admission process.
Vipin asks that any range or number of students above 8 years of experience from the previous batches?
Actually, there are 4 officers from the Indian Navy who have more than 8 years experience, but they go back to the Navy after they finish the program. Otherwise, I don't think in the supply chain program, there is anybody with more than 8 years experience.
Or there may, Tannu, are there some people who are from more than 8 years?
I don't think so. Tannu?
No, sir.
Means, yeah, last to last batch, there were one student.
Yeah, last to last, yes. But last batch or this current batch, I don't know whether he means the
current batch, there is no student.
Okay, so there was a question from a candidate as to what do you mean by a valid score? What we mean by a valid score is this, that if you have a CAT score, it should be of an exam taken in 2019 or subsequently. So you cannot apply with a CAT score of 2018 or earlier. When it comes to GMAT or a GRE score, it has to be not more than 5 years old. Am I right, Tannu? Yes. So the valid GMAT or a GRE score means a score which is not older than 5 years. And so that's what we mean by a valid GMAT, GRE or a CAT score. But if there is still any more question that comes to your mind, you're very welcome to write to us at the email ID given here, and we'll be happy to answer. Meanwhile, we are still getting some more questions. So Ashwin, go ahead. Aditi, go ahead and ask those questions.
Ashwin is asking that if he gets rejected this year due to low GMAT score, can he apply next year with a good GMAT score?
Of course, you can apply again with even in the same year. If you have improved your score, you are very welcome to apply again.
And we have Aditya with over 8 years of experience as a marine engineer, and he wants to ask what are his chances in getting admission?
You are certainly eligible to apply. We cannot talk about the chances.
We have a question regarding what kind of consulting roles can we get after after completing GSCM. As it's shown in previous placement reports that consulting firms also come there.
We have roles in strategy consulting. We have roles in supply chain consulting. There are various types of consulting assignments that are offered to us. But typically strategy and supply chain consulting are predominantly the ones which are on offer.
And incidentally, Aditi, who is hosting this webinar, is placed in a management consulting role this year. Right. So we don't see any more questions. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank each one of you for attending this webinar and asking your questions. It's wonderful that we can interact with you directly. And we hope that you take a decision that is good for you, because you have to make the career choices. It's a significant investment of time and resources, and hope you take a decision which aligns with your career goals and career objectives. And we shall help you in this process of clarifying any doubts or questions that you may have. So if you have any remaining questions after this webinar, do write to us or speak to us at the number given here in the screen. And thank you again, and have a good evening. And I would like to thank all my co-panelists and Aditi for wonderful hosting of this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you all, and best wishes to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And in case you have any queries left, please contact us in the given details. Thank you.
Great.